All right, hello everybody. Welcome to the final live stream of our Discovery Day Online Making Monsters event, our Careers in Science Illustration panel. I am so excited to host and introduce to all of you these amazing science illustrators, all of whom are previous alumni of the Alf Museum Science Illustration internship program. So, hello everybody, welcome. Um, why don't
Hi.
we How don't we get started and do some introductions from everybody? Why don't we start with Jay?
Hey, my name's Jay Razgashek. I'm a scientific illustrator out of Boise, Idaho. These days, I don't do so much paleo art, but I do a lot of scientific illustration tied to the American West. My most recent project was with the Boise Parks Department along with the Albertsons family. And I completed 12 interpretive panels over the past 8 months for this giant park renovation.
Awesome. Philip, how about you?
Hi, I'm Philip Krasminski. I was the second intern at the ALF. I'm currently my day job is senior illustrator at Cell Press / Elsevier, where I mostly do medical and research journal illustration, and I kind of manage all of their art assets. And by night, I freelance as a museum exhibit designer and science illustrator.
Awesome. Karen, how about you?
Hi, I'm Karen Henning. I believe I was the fourth intern at the ALF. I'm currently a self-employed illustrator. I've done work recently for the National Park Service at Hagerman Fossil Beds and John Day Fossil Beds. And I am currently in the thick of it with March Mammal Madness, for which I have been the art director for the past 7 years.
Awesome. We all love some good March Mammal Madness. And speaking of, let's go to Valeria, who is also part of that, right?
Mhm.
My name is Valeria Palliser, and I'm a scientific illustrator out of San Francisco. Freelancing, self-employed, but I'm also in the thick of it with March Mammal Madness. I'm one of 4 illustrators. Karen and I are 2 of the illustrators on it, and it's tons of fun.
That's fantastic. So that's 2 Alf Museum science illustrators that are working for March Mammal Madness. We may be able to find the best of the best, but that's just me being biased. As we continue to talk to the best of the best, how about Rob? Let's introduce you.
Yes, my name is Rob Soto. I am a self-employed freelance scientific illustrator based in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Currently working on a pretty large project for the redesign of a nature center in Logan, Utah, the Stokes Nature Center. I'm doing 5 very 8-foot long interpretive panels for their new center.
That's awesome. And now let's introduce the newest member of the Alf Museum Science Illustration family, Hannah.
Hi, I'm Hannah Case. I am the baby of the group as I just finished my internship in November at the ALF, remotely, of course, because of 2020. So I'm based out of Santa Cruz, California, and as I am the baby of the group, I'm not quite settled yet in my endeavors, but I am reaching out and building my network, and I've got a couple of pretty cool projects on the horizon. And I'm really stoked to be here with all of my predecessors. Hang
That's
out.
fantastic. And also, for those of you who may not, I'm sorry, the sun just came out of nowhere. It's been sunny all day, and now I can't see. I mean, it's been cloudy all day. For those of you who didn't see earlier, Hannah had a really cool art demo as part of Making Monsters. So that's now on our YouTube channel if you want to see that. So now that everybody has introduced themselves, what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about careers in science illustration. We'll ask all of our panelists a little bit about their path to how they got to become a science illustrator, some of their education work, what their inspirations are, and kind of what they hope to do in the future. We will have a Q&A following the channel or the panel discussion, and after that we will take a short break, and then we will have a little bit of fun as we all play Skribblio, an online kind of Pictionary-like game. And for this specifically, we created a very special paleontology themed game. So later you get to see us all yelling and screaming as we try to draw dinosaurs and the like in under 30 seconds. This should be real fun. I know Valeria's ready to go. She was talking about how she got her tablet already.
Cheating.
Ooh, we're already starting. This is gonna be great. I can tell. So let's get started, everybody. Why don't we start with talking about kind of how you got started in science illustration? Like, have you always been into science illustration? Did you start as a scientist and move your way into this field? And kind of what your inspirations were. Why don't we do this in order of our Alf Museum timeline? So let's start with Jay.
Hey, so I guess like I've always been drawing nature. I actually went for school for comics, and I was working as a flatter for Archie Comics, and I even worked on a project with Darwin Cook before he passed. But eventually, I kind of wanted to like tie my art more closer to like my emotional like childhood, which was spent backpacking out in the rural Idaho like mountain wilderness. After like I went through the process of going to school and everything, and I wound up at the Alf internship, where I learned how to do specimen illustration, reconstruction illustration, and met a lot of really great paleontologists. Ultimately, my career is much more wide than deep. I work with like a lot of I pull a lot of like my contacts that I knew prior to my scientific illustration program, and I've known for years to build together a portfolio of clientele where that utilize my talents. This like I first started out in public art, and that supported me for those initial rocky couple years, and from there I built a portfolio of editorial work, and built that into like some corporate work through some local ad agencies like Oliver Russell, and worked with some like the big name brands through there. And just Boise is such a tight community that once you get introduced, like you have a lot of opportunities to work with architects, and storefront owners, and the actual city itself. So yeah, I think that's like a solid introduction to like what I've done. Yeah.
Cool. How about you, Philip? Where did you get your start with science illustration?
Yeah, mine's a little. I've got a long rambling story, so I'll try to keep it reasonably contained. I've always been interested in kind of being a naturalist, birding, that kind of thing. So that's always played a part in my artwork. I've been an artist my whole life. I went to school originally to be an art teacher, and I was a public school art teacher for about 5 years before I kind of got burnt out and needed a change. And I was feeling like I wasn't really doing that much artwork anymore. I was just teaching. So I started doing more art shows. I started really getting back into birding and outdoorsmanship and that kind of thing. And they sort of informed each other. And then during an art show, I got scouted by the head preparator of the Yale Museum of Natural History, Yale Peabody Museum of Natural History. And he asked me if I could come by and paint some birds for him. I was like, sure, yeah, of course. And I went in for an interview with him with this like portfolio of paintings. And I got there and he's like, hey, when I said I need you to paint birds, what I actually meant is, can you sculpt birds? And I was just like, portfolio over the shoulder. Yeah, of course. And like, of course, you're like, the answer is yes, whether you can sculpt or not. So I started working with him on and off at nights. So I was teaching all day, driving across Connecticut, like an hour and a half down to the Peabody, working on bird sculptures all night, driving back, teaching all day. And it was one of those things where it's like a job that you've always wanted, except you didn't know it existed. Like I didn't know it was a real thing that people got paid to do. And I was like, oh, this is the job, by teaching. So I went to grad school out at Monterey Bay, and then interned with you guys at the Alf. And then I just got involved in a ton of like short contract jobs and internships, like 3 months here, 6 months there. Cornell Lab of Ornithology, back at the Yale Museum again. I was there for another 6 months. And then I kind of built up enough clientele as a freelancer that I was kind of supporting myself as a freelancer for a while, working with like the Monterey Bay Research Institute and things like that. And then I decided that I wanted to move in with my girlfriend from that patiently waited for me to go on all these adventures. So I took a job up at Cell Press in Boston, in Cambridge, Massachusetts, where I work mostly as a medical illustrator, and I do a lot of like research, journal publication type things, covers, figures, all that kind of stuff, managing freelancers and a small staff of artists. So it's sort of like it's like a little bit art director, a little bit science illustrator. And then I'm also now freelancing on the side and doing museum exhibits mostly. My focus has always been on museum exhibits, which was a bad choice when COVID happened, but hopefully that'll pick up again at some point.
Hopefully. Philip's done some really great work for us in our Cosplay for Science pop-up museums. He's made some really cool backgrounds, along with Valeria. I always forget. This is really bad of me. Who was first? Was it Karen or Valeria? It was Valeria,
Valeria.
Right? Okay, right. Time does not really work in my head
now.
Anymore. Yeah.
You're a
So,
legion.
Valeria, how did you join us and start in science illustration?
So I didn't think I was going to do science illustration. I went to school in San Francisco for an art school for a focus in comics, and kind of about midway through that, I started shifting more towards creature design, which kind of led me into the idea of science illustration and more concept art. And then I graduated and I was just working a couple freelance gigs and not art-related jobs here and there when I found out about the school in Monterey, CSUMB, science illustration grad school program. Then I was like, maybe I'll go. So I got accepted and I went, and I was like, this is the best thing I've ever done in my life. It was this wonderful kind of marriage of how much I love art and how much I love nature. And then the last part of that class is an internship, and the Alf was recommended because Philip and Jay had already gone, and so that's how I met you guys. And that's when I found out that I would love to work at museums, and that was my favorite thing in the world. And then COVID kind of threw a wrench in that. But that's how I met Karen, and I'm doing Marshmallow Madness now.
Yes, and you've all done some really amazing work with Marshmallow Madness. We'll get into that a little bit later, but Karen, how about you? What's your story for science illustration?
Oh my. I got my associate's degree in fine art right out of high school, and then took a break because I just wasn't sure. I'd always wanted to be an artist, but how do you go out in the world and use this degree? There weren't a lot of opportunities. I tried a lot of other things, did not enjoy much of any of them until I got into tattooing, and I've been doing that for a number of years. But the fine art was always calling me back. So when I went back to school to finish my degree, I ended up building my own degree because I was of an age where I was allowed to do that at this program. And I built a program that I called multimedia storytelling, and I combined aspects of art and visual tech, English, communication, and theater for a degree that I thought was fairly well-rounded for live and interactive and also visual communication and performance. Well, you want to get asked what you're going to use your degree for, tell people you have a degree in multimedia storytelling. But honestly, I'm working on Marshmallow Madness now, and I'm doing scientific illustration. So this is what I'm doing with a degree in multimedia storytelling. Everything prepared me super well for that. And I love what I'm doing. I came to the ALF through the Science Illustration Distance Learning Program taught by Gretchen Halpert. We met through the Guild of Natural Science Illustrators, and she has a 4-quarter intensive, the 4th quarter of which is an internship. And I had approached Dr. Andy Farkey for some help during the graphite unit because I was doing some fossil reconstructions on the evolution of wings. And we got to talking, and he said, well, you know, if there's an internship on the horizon, keep us in mind. And the rest is history.
Awesome. I'm not really a tattoo person, but there's that little thing in the back of my head waiting. Maybe I'll get one from Karen one day. That would be pretty sick, I think.
Some of the best studio artists on the planet are working in tattoo studios.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Rob, how about you? What's your story?
Oh boy. Well, I've been drawing since I can remember. I was just fascinated by dinosaurs as a small child. Like the first 8 or 10 years of my life, nothing mattered more to me than dinosaurs, except for maybe Godzilla sometimes. And out of high school, I was kind of wondering what I was going to do, and it was my mom who kind of pushed me towards art school. She saw that I was buying books to help improve my technical abilities, figure drawing and the like. And she started dropping art pamphlets on my desk. So I went to the Maryland Institute College of Art to study illustration. And I eventually there narrowed my focus. That's where I rediscovered my joy in drawing dinosaurs. So I was able to narrow my focus to science illustration, which really wasn't something that people were doing at MICA. So I kind of also had to sort of build my own degree. And luckily enough, we were right next door to Johns Hopkins University. I sought out Dr. David Weishample, who's done some paleo art of his own, as well as had his hand in many seminal papers throughout paleontology. And he took me through some of my first dissections of alligators and birds that had been killed on the street, earlier that day, hit by a car or something. We'd get them in and put them in formaldehyde and open them up. And it's like, here's how that muscle works. Anyway. And after that, I started to consume as much like current science as I could, trying to fuel my creativity with science. I got a job or an internship working with the Marine Research Lab in Baltimore. I got an internship working with Dr. Nathan Jude at the Smithsonian. We did some paleobotany together. And I knew as soon as I graduated MICA that I wanted to go to CSUMB because I had seen a picture from one of the grad students. They had taken a picture of a red-tailed hawk that they were drawing and said, like, yeah, just another day of class. And I said, that's the class I want. That's where is this place? And the next couple of years were just building a portfolio to get to this place. And I felt confident enough one day and submitted. I got in. And like Valeria said, it's one of the best things I ever did. The people, the resources, the experience, and living in such a beautiful place. Like every day I have an opportunity to use something I learned there. And the next thing you know, I'm at the ALF because that's where they send paleo nerds. And,
That's true.
Was like, do you like dinosaurs? I have a place for you. Next thing you know, I'm sitting in the basement of the ALF surrounded by bones. And it's like, I think I did. I think I made a good choice now. So then I've been working, I've been lucky enough to be working with a very good friend of mine, old friend, who's now the director of education at the Stokes Nature Center in Logan, Utah, and Patrick Kelly. And he and I have been kind of tackling all these large science illustration, like just programs where parks, a zoo, and then his center need science illustration, namely interpretive panels. So I've been able to be full-time freelance for a year now. I was kind of just doing it part-time, and then after the hit. I'm not saying its name anymore. It's like Voldemort. I feel like I'm a pretty successful organism. And an extinction event rolls around. You have to adapt, and I found an ecological niche that I've been able to exploit, and I haven't gone extinct yet. So far so good.
Good metaphor.
Yeah, we'll put speaking to the audience. Um, I will say I feel pretty lucky that, you know, the Monterey Bay program sends amazing artists our way, because not only do I get to make really cool friends, but I get to benefit it as an education person at the Alf Museum, and I get some really cool art for our temporary exhibits. All of you have done some really cool things that we've put on display at the museum, so I'm very, very happy. Also, selfishly, some of you draw me things personally. Like Rob drew me as a Jedi, which was like one of the coolest things I've ever gotten. So
That was fun.
before I get too far into Star Wars, because you know I will talk forever about that, Hannah, why don't you tell us your story?
Yeah, so my story, I mean, I keep hearing a common theme with everybody else. Like I've been drawing since I can't even remember, and I think that's very true. I have lots of childhood sketches that have managed to be preserved over the years that are great. But I'd say that I really didn't start thinking about science illustration until I was in my local bookstore and I found a Terrell Whitlatch book. And I had kind of an epiphany moment where I was like, oh my God, do people do this as a job? Like, is this a real thing? Because it was kind of like an idea that I had that was made real, you know? And so I found that really cool, and so I bought that book, and I just ate it. I engorged it, and I loved it. And but I really like kind of I didn't really come into my own thinking yet that I wanted to make science illustration my career, because I went to school for science, and about I think it was in my junior year of college, and I was getting my BS in evolution and ecology, that that there was a science illustration class that was being proposed, and you had to apply to get in. And so a friend of mine who also liked to draw was like, "Oh, Hannah, like you should apply." And so we both applied, and I got in, and she didn't. And so it's a little sad.
Oh.
And so literally like the first day I was asking my teacher, I was like, "Can you please let her in? Right, yeah." And she's like, there's not a lot of people. You just kind of have to take it, And I was like, okay. And so I started drawing, and I was like, wow, like I this kind of style really kind of fits for me. And so kind of from there, that was it. And I started to draw science illustration topics in my normal science classes. And definitely a pivotal moment was when I was in a paleontology class, and I was writing my term paper about the emergence of different mammals like placental mammals and marsupial mammals, and if that happened before the KPG boundary or after. And I spent more time on the cover illustration than I did on the actual. And so that was kind of like a ding 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 moment, like, oh, you're excited about the topic, but you're not actually writing the paper, you're more excited about the illustration. And actually my teacher, I think she gave me like a B- on the actual paper. And then she was like, "Where did you get this cover art?" And I was like, "Oh, I did that." And she was just wordlessly like picked up my paper, and then she bumped it up to a B plus. So I was like,
Better
"Oh,
than
That's how
A.
you do it. Yeah.
yeah." So
That's the way to do it.
that was the moment. And then, so basically, right after I graduated, I spent the year to build up my portfolio and apply to Cal State Monterey Bay. And I got in, and I had a great year, and it was amazing. And I met such great people, and my teachers were awesome. And then the pandemic, you must not be named, that happened. And so I had my Alf internship lined up, but it fell through the cracks that we wouldn't be able to meet in person. And so it ended up being remote, which was fine. And I totally enjoyed all the stuff that I did with Andy and Dr. Andy Farkey, and it was really, really cool. And so yeah, that happened in November, and it's been only a couple of months, and so I'm trying to navigate my way through the current state of the world and try to network and reach out, and yeah, so that's me so far, I guess.
Really quick, sending a big shout out to Dr. Andy Farkey, who is the curator at the Alf Museum.
We love you, Andy.
We love you, Andy. Andy has been amazing. He's the one who's really set up this internship because he understands and appreciates the power of science illustration, not just for science, but for education. And kind of moving into our next topic, let's talk about science illustration. So, there's a lot of folks out there who may just think about paleo art. It's just drawing dinosaurs. But science illustration is more than that, right? It's this intersection between science fact, science education, science communication, and artistry. So for all of you, how do you define science illustration? What are the things that make it more than just drawing something, right? Who wants to kind of start with that?
I can.
Okay, go ahead, Jay.
So I think for me, I focus on medium and different media purposes. This can mean mural work. I've been doing some kind of kind of art activism through murals. I do about like 2 murals a year. That's my current goal, and all that is tied to how can we communicate these threatened species, to the general public, and while also beautifying a general area. The same could be said for project dev work within corporate settings. How can we use contemporary illustration topics or methods like collaging and layered works to tie a corporate image with the activism that they're working in, No Shade Coffee. Another purpose of scientific illustration outside of the traditional purpose is how can we better direct public policy? And this is through graphs, through traditional museum methods, but also in public city forums.
I can weigh in.
Go ahead, Philip.
Yeah, the way I kind of view science illustration is I view myself as an interpreter, like a middleman, basically. You have the public, you have researchers, and we're kind of in the middle, and we're the people who know just enough jargon in order to translate it into something that is sort of concentrated. It's distilling down the essence of these years. And because you talk to a researcher and they spend their entire life studying this species of snail, and they found out something about this species of snail that is the coolest thing in the entire world to them. And how do you take that and make it cool? How do you make it so that, because it is cool, but how do you make it so that everyone else can appreciate it? And how do you distill down all of these 10 years, 20 years of work into a single illustration that kind of shows the substance of all of that work, and how incredible it is that they've, it's insane, paleo art reverse engineered the lives of these creatures that we've never seen, have never coexisted with. And it's all through detective work, basically. So there's that aspect of it. And I think I'll leave it there so other people can talk. I don't want to be too long-winded.
Who else wants to go? Anybody? No?
Well, I mean, I'll kind of touch on the touchy-feely part of it. For me, it's almost compulsory. It's something I've been doing forever, and I think it's extremely human. I mean, you look at some of the cave paintings of Lascaux and the other one. Damn it, I'm blanking on the name. Anyway, and it's something that there's a society where it's very short, difficult life, and everyone, there's no caloric surplus. Everybody has to contribute, and yet they found time to make these beautiful paintings that Picasso looked at and said, we've invented nothing, almost as if it's not, art isn't optional for humans. And when you're trying to communicate things like evolution and these extremely complex topics, I think art is critical to reaching, before you can communicate to the thinking mind of a human, you have to appeal to its feeling, heart. And you do that with art.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, like for me, as an educator and storyteller, I like to say storytelling is the most powerful way to put ideas into the world. Art is visual storytelling, right? And so it's a way for us to connect these abstract concepts and make them more concrete by bringing them to life, either through Photoshop or Procreate or whatever way that you're doing it. It helps people to create a personal connection to something that they may otherwise feel distant from. So yeah, how about Karen, Valeria, Hannah? Anything? How do you define science illustration?
Participation is graded.
Yeah, guys.
I feel like oh, sorry, you can go.
Go ahead.
Well, I kind of touched on it a little bit in my demo earlier about at least when I think of how I approach science illustration, it's grounded in fact and current literature, and a lot of I remember my teacher Amadeo back from Cal State Monterey Bay. He really wants you to research as much as you can for every piece that you do, because the more time you put into it, so far as getting all the facts or the nuances and what we don't know, and how can you elaborate on that in a factual, as close to a factual way as possible. It's really important. And so I think, not to like get super broad, but like in this age of misinformation and people believing in controversies and conspiracy theories and all that, I think that a lot what Rob was saying is that art really is it just is on a very emotional level for humans. And if you can teach on that emotional level, I think it has a greater impact. And so that's a really good way to relay often really challenging scientific concepts to the public who may not know about this topic at all. But conveying it in art hopefully will get their attention and make them think things and feel things.
It's the hook.
Mm-hmm.
Karen?
When people ask what it is that I do, I tell them that I fill in the spaces that words and numbers and photographs leave. And a lot of people follow that with, well, why can't you just use photographs? And there are several things right off the bat that I use as examples. I think one of the things that we are going to try to move into eventually in March Mammal Madness is showing instances of behavior, which for illustrators is especially an important job, because any wildlife photographer can tell you can be waiting an awful long time to record that behavior and still may never get it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you pick that information up and coordinate with an illustrator, you will have a visual representation of that behavior in exactly the moment you need, because we can take those words and turn them into that picture.
No, yeah.
Well said. I'm going to use that later.
Yeah, I'm totally going to put that one down. It's about relatability too, right? Like when you're for me, from the paleontologist side of things, when we're describing like a fragment of a bone, for us it's like, this is amazing, this is the first instance of this creature or whatever, but you give it to someone in the general public and they're like, it looks like a rock. And then what you're able to do is take our excitement and breathe life into it by, again, like you said, filling in the gaps of what we were saying, those abstract concepts, and having people find something much more relatable than me showing them a picture of a broken vertebra that there's like, this looks like trash, but okay, and you make it beautiful. And I think that's one of the really cool parts of science illustration. Valeria, how about you? How do you define science illustration?
It's a really broad category, and I don't really define it as so much as I like to play in it.
Mm.
It's kind of like, I don't know if I can't top the really nice things everyone else has said, so I'm just gonna, I guess, add on to that in addition to all that really cool stuff that Karen has said. You guys have all made beautiful points. Um, for me, science illustration is kind of like affirming a connection with these creatures that I'm already obsessed with. So just spending hours and hours studying and drawing these things is kind of like, now I know you intimately, now I'm very familiar with you. Now I sort of claim ownership over this creature, and then it kind of serves don't tell me you guys don't like feel like when you draw a creature for a project, you're like, that's mine. That thing
No,
is mine.
that's
Next
okay.
time you see that animal, you're like, that's mine. It's a cool way
I
to just
understand.
then be like, as a vehicle for education and outreach, and because people will look at an illustration and as well as all the feelings of like, wow, how long did it take you to make that, etc., etc. Then you can then connect with, being vague here. It's
No, we
a
get what you're saying.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Totally.
it forms a connection between the artist and the subject, and then between the audience and the subject.
Yeah, totally. I mean, when you did those derpy versions of the paleo creatures for your takeover, so many people just fell in love with them. They're like, I love Tiktaalik. And before, there were people who
God.
are like, they're like, Tiktaalik is this weird fish thing that came out of the water. There's like memes of it, like, go back, you don't need to come out of land. But you made it cute and relatable and adorable, and people are like, I love Tiktaalik now. So I think that's exactly what you did, and exactly what you're talking
Mhm.
about. It's connecting those things to people and giving them that kind of connection, that ownership is what I think you said, and that's awesome.
I'll be honest, Gabe. That's how I see TikTok all the time, regardless.
I am very jealous of that. That's awesome. Well, let's move on into a little bit of careers, and I specifically want to start with Karen and Valeria, because when it comes to science illustration, there's a lot of things you can do. Some of you are working in industry, some of you are freelance. For Karen and Valerius, you are both doing this awesome thing called March Mammal Madness, and for you, Karen, you seem to have not kind of, but you've really created your own career and like path for this. So I think the question I'm going to give to everybody also is like, what can you do with science illustration, right? And like what are some tips if you're like freelancing versus looking for industry job? So yeah, let's start with Karen on this one.
Really, the thing you do is you ask. It's really that simple. You ask. I discovered March Animal Madness in year 2. And at the end of year 2, I sent a direct message to Dr. Katie Hind and said, how would you feel about artists drawing the bracket next year? And I think her exact words were something along the line of, that would be awesome. And she's very enthusiastic. And I was the artist that stayed through until now. We had artists circle in and out. There was one year I was trying to do it all by myself. Gabe, I feel for you. I really. So yeah, it literally started with me sending a direct message on Twitter and just asking, because it occurred to me that this is something that I was enjoying and it was really cool. And it would be really cool to do this thing to expand it. March Mammal Madness is all volunteer run. This is the one thing I do each year that I consider my service act for the year. And I am totally fine with that. This is why every artwork or collage or poster with the hashtag. And this is what you can do with science. That makes it interactive to people who aren't even sitting in the same country with you, but you can inspire them to pick up their tools, whatever those tools may be, and get to know these organisms or this time period or this particular ecosystem for themselves in a way that they never would have been able to simply by reading about it.
I muted myself. I'm
losing
sorry.
people.
I do that all the time. So yeah, I think that's a really great way of showing that like these careers that you can do is really about, not really, but like connections are really, really important when it comes to starting a career here. And Valeria, that's how you got connected to March Madness, right?
Yeah, we had about a week of overlap when my internship was kind of tailing off and Karen's was about to start. We were sitting in the Kiva together, and she mentioned Marshmallow Madness and being the art director on that, and being with the arts for that, and I just kind of turned to her and said, "Who do I talk to get in on that?" And Karen said, "Me." "Are you on that?" "Yes." And so here I am, third year on it, loving it.
Then I found out she had a twin sister who was also an artist, and that's when you look skyward and go.
Texted my sister and said, "Hey, being part of this thing, do you want?" She said, "Yes." And so she's also third year on this thing. She's probably watching. Hey, Olive.
Yeah, shout out to Olive. Olive has done some really cool stuff too. We had Olive join us at our in-person Making Monsters a couple of years ago and showed some really cool creature design stuff too. For all the rest of you, like what are some advice that you can give for folks who are looking to start their own freelance or want to work in industry? Philip?
I can go. I feel like I could do like a 3-hour talk just on this question. Like Valeria said, like this is a giant, expansive field that we all kind of play in. Like even the 6 of us are all doing incredibly different things with essentially a very similar education. A lot of us even went to the same grad program, to the same internship, and we're all now doing something very different. So I've kind of done, and like anybody who knows me is I'm like the man of 100 careers. I like blow up my life every 2 years and change careers and start over and reinvent myself constantly. So now I'm doing that same thing, except I just keep blowing up my career in science illustration and reinventing it. And it's something different every 2 years. I'm a museum exhibit designer. I'm a science illustrator. I'm a freelancer. I'm doing ornithology stuff. I'm doing paleo stuff. You know, it's like there's so many different things you can do. And some of the best advice I think I ever got was from a panel I went to years ago at just for normal illustrators, not science illustrators. And the advice was be a generalist until someone pays you to be a specialist. And to expand Rob's metaphor, specialists die off really easily during problem times. So make sure that you have a lot of expansive skills. Like, and like if you're like me, I got into this pretty late in life. I had done a bunch of different things first, but none of that is like wasted experience. Figure out a way to tie all of those things back in, whether it's teaching, I don't know, working at a blacksmith shop. Like all of that stuff has come back around to be handy. You know, like my education as an educator is always useful, especially when designing exhibits for museums or other informal learning institutions like aquariums. Being a blacksmith was super useful when I got hired at the Peabody Museum to make sculptures for them and to make mounts for, you know, fossils. I was like, one of the reasons I got hired there was because I could weld mounts for like large trackway pieces. Wow. Which like a lot of other artists, like I don't know any other artists who weld. So like that was one thing that made me stand out. So don't feel like anything you're doing is like wasted effort. Figure out a way to tie it back in and just make yourself a broader, more expansive candidate. Because when you end up at a place like, you know, now I'm at Cell Press, even like anytime someone's like, hey, we need someone who knows how to do this thing, I'm always like, it's me. I know how to do it. I know how to do that too. Oh, you need website stuff? I can do that. You know, it's like, and once you make yourself indispensable like that, when you're the go-to guy for everything or girl, whatever, like suddenly everyone is like in love with you. They think you're indispensable and they'll keep coming back to you. And that's especially true as a freelancer. You know, you want to have those clients come back to you. There's a million good artists out there, so you need to find a way that you differentiate yourself from the crowd and stand out, whether it's through hyper professionalism, whether it's through a specialist skill set. You know, I can go on and on about this, but I'll let someone else talk.
Yeah, Jay.
Yeah, I've got nothing but to like back up Philip's statement. I also think there's a certain joy in doing something different every month. It really helps prevent burnout on a personal level, and you know, I think that's a really difficult thing to do as like a freelancer, because you're often like working for long hours and handling like several different, you know, you're juggling like 2 million tasks at once. I think building off of that, I think working on your network, and specifically like different baskets of eggs, you know, like maybe, you know, right now you don't have a whole lot of scientific illustration coming in, but you've got a couple of networks down at like a couple of advertisement firms, and that will pay for your rent or whatever, you know. Um, you know, I think surviving as an artist, because like you're doing art, so that's already a niche thing, right? And when you go into scientific illustration, that's even further niche. So any way that you can build off of yourself. And yeah.
Thanks, Jay. Anyone else? Karen.
I just wanted to piggyback on part of what Phil was saying about don't discount any section of your skill set. I remember sitting in a seminar at the GNSI convention a couple of years ago. Jen Christensen from Scientific American was giving a talk on how to communicate with scientists and get the best information you can out of them to be able to create art for them. And about half an hour in, I turned to the artist next to me and I'm like, why is this a topic? Is this actually a problem somewhere? And that's the minute that I realized that my 28 years of customer service and tattooing, turning huge amounts of text into a picture that big, was now being used in a way that I had never expected. It was just something that I naturally did. So yeah, don't discount any kind of skill that you're getting, including customer service. We are in a service industry. Remember that.
Oh, I will back that up. I used to work at Disneyland, and that helped me a lot as a science communicator and educator, getting to talk to people and learning how to like maintain my composure. That skill helped me, and never once did I think that would go through, but now I have. Valeria, what do you have?
So I was a volunteer docent at the San Francisco Zoo for 5 years, and so we took a 10-week course on it was about just being a docent in general, and it was parts imparting scientific knowledge on the docents, which, I mean, I was such a huge nerd, I didn't really need that part. But what stuck with me was kind of translating all that knowledge that I was already kind of hoarding into just communicating that in a way that didn't come off as obnoxious, which I'm pretty sure I did before I took that course. And that has been something that I've translated into it's been so useful to me in so many different kinds of ways, as well as the kind of docenting I would do and kind of explaining science to people has really translated in my artwork, but it's also translated in just the way that I talk to people about science and my interests in general. It's a really great way to not to be excited and interested in this niche thing without being obnoxious about it.
Yeah, Rob.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's kind of been saying it in different ways, but what really sticks out to me from everyone's story is something that was once told to me. You just be a nerd to the right people. If you're interested in something very specific, there's someone out there who's writing a paper on it, or in a museum that needs a label for it or something, and you just have to go and I mean, you need a network, but you need to like embrace your crazy obsession with prehistoric squirrels. And someone's writing a paper on prehistoric squirrels, and you guys are going to find each other, and it's going to be great. So like, don't feel like you have to study. I mean, you should know how to draw everything, It can only help, but you don't have to. You don't have to feel like, well, I can't draw a horse, so I can't be an artist. It's like, well, neither can I. But not everybody has to be. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I kind of.
No, I know what you're saying, and I
Be a
think it
nerd to the
connects.
right people.
Yeah, no, and it connects back to what everyone else was saying too. Of like, don't be afraid to reach out. You know, us scientists, when we're creating papers and we like have this idea of how we want to bring them to life, we a lot of times don't know who to talk to. You know, there's a lot of science illustrators out there who have great work, but sometimes it doesn't match exactly what we're looking for. You know, especially with social media today, you know, send a DM like, hey, are you looking for someone to draw this? I saw that you had this paper. I am very interested in illustrating it. You know, go ahead and reach out. The worst that they'll do is leave you on read, but whatever, that's fine.
I can totally
Hannah, do you have any tips that you want to share before we move
Well,
on?
again, I'll reiterate again that I am the baby of the group. And so all this talk about networking and stuff, I'm just delving into and figuring out myself. But I will say that I just recently reached out to a few paleontologist people that were recommended to me by Dr. Andy Farkey. And 3 out of the 4 people responded back. And 2 of them were very gracious and said, thank you very much. I will think of you if I have anything going on, which I don't right now. And then one person wrote back and was like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you wrote. I have this thing I want to work on. Can you help me with it? So really, just as Karen was saying, it's so important to just reach out and ask, you know, like, and the worst that can happen is that they don't respond. And more often than not, they might just say, thanks, I don't have anything going on right now, but I'll get back to you if I do.
Yeah, awesome. So I want to remind everyone in the chat that we are going to do a Q&A with our panelists. So if you have questions, please type in the chat. And we're going to ask one more question before we move on to the Q&A. And this is something that's a little bit of a debate, I would say, amongst the science illustration community of doing pro bono work or, you know, doing work for exposure versus, you know, asking to be paid, right? There's a lot of talk about that where there are people out there who will ask you to do something for free because it will lead to exposure. But at the same time, science illustrators got to eat. They got to pay rent. They got to pay for all those expensive Copic markers and stuff. So what is your opinion on that? Or like how can you give advice to up and coming science illustrators where they're kind of going to have that awkward conversation of like, but I want to be paid. So who wants to start? Valeria?
All right, so to quote Claire Wendling, get a day job if you're starting out and you don't have the network yet. So get a day job to support you if that's something that you need to do. If you can make it right out of the gate, then that's great. We would love to be able to do artwork for free, but we have to eat. And so, like, I would love to just do all these cool projects, but I also have bills to pay, and I have animals to feed, and including myself. And so, like, art has become seen as kind of like a luxury, and people who are not artists who end up doing that whole for exposure thing. There's so many blogs on the internet about with snarky comebacks that are great if you're ever just kind of frustrated with that, with people treating you that way. Is like people see like the $25 poster at the supermarket, and they assume that when they're coming for you for a custom piece of artwork, it's that. It's like, just why do I have to pay you whatever your rate is, which should definitely be more than $25, when I can just go get a $25 poster? And the thing is, you're not paying for a $25 poster of pre-made artwork, and I can guarantee the artist wasn't paid $25 to make that poster. You're paying for a specific piece of artwork that is custom to your specifications and your need, and you're paying for my time, my expertise, and my learning to get to where I am, that I can make it for you in, what, a week? 3 days?
Yeah.
Yeah, you tell him, Valeria. Go ahead, Philip.
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of feelings about this. You know, it comes down to a value judgment on what you think something is worth to you. I kind of look at it as the how much do I care about this versus like if it's something I'm completely uninterested in, if it's just work, you know, obviously I need to get paid for that. I think I need to get paid for pretty much everything, honestly, is really what it comes down to. I think the best advice I could give is to say find a way to say yes to everything. And that doesn't mean that you need to take every job, but like what I would recommend doing is develop several levels of work, like several like shorthand levels of work. So you have your all out maximum effort. I spent a month painting this. It's the best thing I've ever done in my whole life. It's my Sistine Chapel ceiling situation, but not everyone's going to be able to afford that. So like what is your 40-hour style? What is your 10-hour style? What's your 2-hour style? And like how do you make sure that you can deliver on each one of those things, because somebody doesn't want to pay you for a sketch. They want a finished product. So figure out how to make a finished looking drawing or painting in 2 to 3 hours. Practice those short form versions, and then meet them somewhere. Like if they're coming at you and they want a cover for current biology and they want it to be photorealistic and it has all this research and it has all this and that, and they want environmental aspects and they want paleobotany research and they want all of this stuff, that's $6,000 or something. You know what I mean? And if they don't have $6,000, don't just say no. Well, sorry, can't work for you. No project. Be like, come back at them with, this is what I can do for $1,000. This is what I could do for $400. This is what I could do for $50. You know what I mean? Like maybe you're okay. You're not going to get a cover anymore, but you do need like a quick black and white ink drawing of your specimen in the journal article itself rather than the cover. Like find a way to get them to pay you. You know what I mean? And like everybody's got $50. You know what I mean? Like anybody who's doing this research stuff, they have grant money. Especially I could tell you as like a guy who works at a research, like one of the biggest research journals, like people are paying $10,000 just to publish their journal article at Current Biology or something. So they have $100, they have $500 to pay you somewhere in there. They just don't want to, is what it comes down to. Everybody wants art, but nobody wants to pay for it. So I would say the takeaway is find a way to try to meet them somewhere on their spectrum of their budget and have a way to deliver at that level and make them feel like they got their money's worth.
Well said. Rob, you had something, right?
Yeah, I mean, Phil kind of got most of it there, but I guess to talk to one of the original questions about doing work for exposure, if there's which I really disagree with, however there are exceptions, if there's a project that you really believe in and you want to do, and maybe you know the person or you're aware of it's for a good cause and you believe in that, that's more important than exposure, I think, because then you're donating your life's work, your blood to this cause, as an artist, because this is what we do. You don't pay a lawyer for, you're not pay a lawyer for exposure. Just like, hey, you love lawyering, help me get out of this weird murder case or whatever. I don't know. But no, you're going to pay that person because it's a profession. It is skilled labor. I've been thinking about art and doing art since I was like, the majority of the time I've existed on this planet. That's what you're paying me for, and you should pay anybody for that, for working, for thinking about, for being the expert and approaching the problem the way you can do. And if you want to donate that and get, hey, I will do this for you for I believe in this cause. I think that this needs to be more well represented. If you see something you really believe in and they have very poor posters or something, that's something you can get behind. But if someone approaches you and says, I don't believe that what you're doing is worth all of that money, I can't understand why you're charging me this, I think it's a problem with education. People know that they have to pay all these other electricians and plumbers and things that you need every day. Unfortunately, people aren't buying art every day the way they're buying all these other services. And so it really just comes to something of education. And it comes from us as artists, as a group, as a unit, and not just science illustrators, but all artists. And the little guys that are out there on Instagram who are drawing, fan art for people, it's on them too to say art is work and work needs to be paid.
Yes, well done. Also, thank you for doing art for me because you believe in my cause, and I don't have that much money at the time.
I believe in your cause.
Jay.
So I think just reinforcing like Rob, Phil's point. I first of all I have like an Excel sheet breaking down rates for different type of clients. A corporate client I ask far more from than like a scientist. Like I have templates for everything. That's like another thing. Is if you're like a starting artist, you want to have templates for literally every single thing. Literally, when I work with a new client and they give me the specs of the project, I have an image board that incorporates everything that's going to take time from this very email down to the last edit. I also write everything in the contract specifically. I get paid now. I get paid at this point and this point. And if you miss these grace periods, I'll be knocking at your door, right?
Yeah.
On top of that, really the only work that I've really gone out of the way to give for free is when I'm painting very large scale projects and they're big lumps of money up front. And I'm like, hey, I want you to have faith in me, and you're going to get this proposal that is beautifully rendered and like spent a long time on. This is part and because I don't have the reputation yet that I don't have the reputation of Jane Kemp. I need to be like able to show someone that I can paint like a 30-foot by 200-foot like wall. Other than that, I don't recommend ever working for free. And you really have to break it down for them if they don't understand. And if they don't understand and not willing to see after a proper explanation and like breakdown, then they're not worth working for, and they're not going to respect you.
Absolutely. Philip, go ahead.
Kind of coming in on that too. Another aspect, like kind of building back on Rob too, of like if you really believe in something. I've definitely donated my time to some causes. For example, I just reached out to a bunch of New England institutions that are working on conservation of the North Atlantic right whale, and I'm 100% willing to just donate my time on that, and that's a judgment call. But something to also consider is if there's something where you're looking to donate work, think about if you're in the situation. I'm not in the situation currently where I'm like going paycheck to paycheck or worrying about if I'm going to be able to feed my rabbits. But if you are in that situation and you do still want to try to find time to donate to these worthy causes, what a thing you might consider is like, how else can you sell that art and those assets you're making or repurpose them? As many people in this group know, we had a former teacher, Amadeo, who sells everything he makes 16 times over and over and over again. So say I make some beautiful illustrations of North Atlantic right whales, and I hand them out to these organizations and conservation groups for free. Maybe I make stickers out of them. Maybe I make T-shirts out of them. Maybe I make money off of those. Maybe I give that money to them so they can do more work, or maybe I keep it, there are other ways to get paid. And I think so much of this career is being clever about how to expand your view of what science illustration is and figure out how to make it work, because as much as we were talking about this being a career, there's no career path. Everybody's got to figure it out for themselves. Everybody's inventing this and making it up as they go along. So, don't be shy about monetizing stuff. You're not a sellout or anything like that. Like being an artist is a job. It's a career. It's hard work. We all spent a lot of money on school. We've all spent millions of man hours trying to learn this stuff and refine our craft. So, figure out a way to get paid for it, even if it's a roundabout route.
So I would like to move on now to our question and answers from the audience. So is everybody ready? Okay. So what we'll do is I'll ask the question, and then I'll have, raise your hand if you'd want to chime in and answer. We've got quite a few questions, so we'll try to go through these as fast as possible so that also we have time to have some fun at the end. All right, so our very first question is from Jared McGowan, who is asking, if you have a BA in biology but no official art degrees, can that hinder success or progress in a professional paleo art career? Karen, I saw your hand up. Go first.
I have never once been asked to show my degree to anybody. What they want to see is my portfolio and projects that I have worked on and a partial client list if you have some experience. So I would say no. I'd say actually the biology degree is an excellent starting point. An excellent starting point, because those are the building blocks that you start with to build everything else when you're doing reconstructive art, especially in paleontology.
Gloria, you had something to add?
Yeah, so I will say, like, to piggyback off Karen's point just now, it really, with art, your degree has nothing to do with it. Even your art degree has nothing to do with it. It's got everything to do with what you can do. And if you don't have formal art training, it can be a little bit tricky, but in all honesty, formal art training is just like shortcuts of techniques. So to improve your artwork, you gotta try to make the next drawing better than the last. Try to learn something from each drawing, and definitely observe other artists whose work you like, and just kind of, I like to say, stare at it real hard. But the trick is to kind of analyze what's working here, what technique are they doing, how are they doing this, even down to specific things like how do I paint feathers well, how do you paint feathers well. You find artists who do it really well and you look carefully and analyze how they do it. And the same thing goes the other way. When you see art you don't like, analyze what it is you don't like about it, what's not working about it. Is the anatomy wonky, or is the shading weird, or the colors weird? And steer away from that, what you don't like, and steer towards what you do like. And most importantly, if you don't have formal art training, this one is the most important, because it's something that's hammered into us in art school. Accept critique. You have to be able to accept critique when people, and that's not to say just kind of like let people walk over you if someone's bad-mouthing your artwork or like being rude. That's not critique. If someone is giving you tips on how to improve your artwork, listen to them, and you don't always have to apply to the painting you're doing, the work you're doing. You can say, I'll take that under advisement for the next piece. I don't want to revisit this one, but I'll keep that in mind the next time I'm doing whatever it is that they're talking about.
Yes, awesome. Thank you. Philip.
Just to quickly build on what Valeria was saying, as far as like accepting critique, it's very important as an artist, and it's even more important as a science illustrator, because you're not just getting critiqued on your art, you're getting critiqued on your scientific accuracy often, and more than any other thing I've done in my life, you need to be prepared to just like tear it up and start over sometimes in this field, because you didn't spend 30 years becoming an expert on dinosaur phalanges or whatever. So you need to trust the expert and refer to their judgment, and you're there to be the hands that make the art happen. So be prepared to erase and start over.
Oh yeah, I will also advocate for asking for people to review your stuff. Philip, you'll usually gets a text from me at 9 p.m. at night like, Philip, please tell me how this looks. And he's like, it looks great. Just change these things. And I'm very, very grateful for that. So yeah, definitely ask people for help. Hannah, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, so the person in the question said that they're working, or they got their bachelor's in a science-related field. So as a person who got a bachelor's in a science-related field, I also agree that it doesn't necessarily matter if you have a background in art or science. What really matters is that you're fueling your passion, because I went into science because I love science, and a lot of what I've learned from science I use every day in my illustrations. And so essentially, like, just, I mean, not to be corny here, but follow your heart and follow your passion. Get your background in science or get it in art, and just fuel funnel that passion into your portfolio, and it will show.
Let your art be your guiding key. Sorry. I had to. Okay, speaking of portfolios, that's our next question from SharkMoon17. Do you have tips for building a portfolio and what to include in it? I've heard mixed views about what to include. Rob, you first, and then we'll go to Jay.
Yeah, so in building a portfolio, a really good way to do that is to think about not only drawing what you love and try to have different media versions of that. Do something in pencil, go to the zoo and present your pencil sketches. And then another piece of your portfolio can be what you did with that in a rendered painting. But also like think about aspects when it can be used. Create an assignment for yourself where this is going to be the cover of a magazine, and do the text, lay it out. This is going to be a double spread. This is going to be a comic book page, and how to have fun with those cells in a comic book, because you can do some really amazing and really show off your creativity. But really diversify. Like go out and look at art that you like, artists that you enjoy their work, and try to give yourself that assignment. When I was building my portfolio for CSUMB, I had to do a lot of this. I came up with my own, the homework assignments, and I did a copy of Tara Whitlash, how she does her skeletals, and then puts the muscle on that, and then puts the skin on that. I did that with a quadrupedal Spinosaurus. And that took a long time, and now I'll have to do another one because nobody likes quadrupedal Spinosaurus, including myself. No, I just think it's like, but it was cool. Look, neat. And how would that work? Go and find what interests you and make it a reality. One of my favorite things to do is to take some of my a science journal or an article that I love and that really interests me, and that's how I met Dr. Andy Farkey. With his evidence of combat in Triceratops. And it's like, this is cool. I want to illustrate that. And that's how that happened. So yeah, find things and give yourself homework. Yeah.
Sweet. We'll go to Jay and then we'll do next question. We have so many questions, guys. I'm sorry.
So just to kind of keep it short, understand the difference between what artists are getting paid doing and what they're doing in their free time or what they enjoy painting, right? So I think understanding the core, aspects of what they're doing, I don't know, it's really difficult to explain, but a lot of times when artists post online what they're painting, like most of what I paint, like online, I don't get paid for. Like that's just like for fun, but when you get down to the nitty gritty, if you're like looking to become like a hardcore like a traditional scientific illustrator, right? You're not always going to be painting that reconstruction illustration that is just like so hallowed and like everyone loves to look at. A lot of times it's like illustrating certain details, specific within the piece. Maybe it's like worth like reaching out to the artist and being like, hey, what are some examples of like your paid work that because like a lot of times like a lot of people like to goof off online.
Jay, Gabe, can I just quickly weigh in on this?
Yeah, go really quick.
So yeah, as from the corporate side of things, we just did a massive hiring thing at Cell Press, and I can tell you, kind of having gone through that process, what people are looking for. The best advice I can give is, like everybody said, have a really diverse portfolio, have a million things, showcase your whole range. I keep all of my portfolio stuff in one giant Adobe InDesign document that's a master file. But the most important thing is to tailor every resume to every job that you're applying to. No generic portfolios. People are hiring you for something very specific, and they need to know that you can do it. There's a million good illustrators out there. Make sure that you're targeting and showing that you can do the exact thing they're asking for. Also, take every opportunity to showcase your design skills for free. They might ask for a portfolio that has like 5 things in it. I want to see a resume that looks super tight and well designed. I want to see all of your stationery look tight and designed. All of those things are free advertising to show that you can do different kinds of art and design work. If you're an artist, you should be designing everything you do. That's it.
No, perfect. Thank you, Philip. Our next question is from Natalie. Natalie says, this is an odd and kind of specific question. I'm autistic and have a non-verbal learning disability, and I'm curious about navigating the art, science world as a neurodivergent individual. Can anyone kind of give some advice on that? Valeria.
Hello, fellow Spoonie. ADHD right here and depression. Um, meds. Meds are your friend, and knowing your limits and knowing and having coping mechanisms to help you work around these things. So for us, certain things are not less of an obstacle, but in like a big way. So if you know that there's a certain thing that everyone says is easy, but for us is next to impossible, it's important to find ways to work around that. So for me, I forget my stuff all the time. I lose my stuff constantly as a minor issue. I just put my stuff where I know I'm not gonna trust myself to remember where this is or remember this important thing. I will put it where I know I will not lose it. As an example for a minor coping mechanism, stuff like that is a lifesaver. In all things.
No, that's very important. Karen and Philip, you both had something you wanted to add? Karen, first.
Yeah, ADHD here as well. And let me just say, social media is not your friend. Do not look at other artists' work on social media when you know you are having an off day. That will spiral you out of the place that you need to be quicker than anything else. And also, be gentle with yourself. You know, we don't function the same way, in an optimum manner that most people do. So if the day is just not going well, it's okay to say, you know, it's not gone well, because there's going to be another day. If the work is just really challenging and frustrating, walk away from it, do something else for a little while. Give the executive function centers a chance to reset and recalibrate. Also, filling the well is really, really important. So, I mean, can't really go to museums currently, but I spend a lot of time out in nature, and I look at a lot of nature documentaries. And that tends, when I'm depleted, that tends to really help fill me up. So these are just the things that work for me. Your mileage may vary.
Thank you for that, Karen. Philip.
Yeah, so very quickly, I definitely agree. Like, know where your strengths and weaknesses are, or how, like, know what strategies you need to use to get through projects and maintain your professionalism. And I don't think you're going to have any problems there. What I would additionally add is that don't view this as a barrier, view it as an opportunity. There's, I mean, I'm sure you know, accessibility in museums and other informal learning institutions are a mess. Use it become a specialist on it. How do you design for other people with autism, and how can you bring that into a museum setting? Bill yourself as a specialist on that and design exhibits that specifically are made for neurodivergent people, and that's its own niche field, and that's something that's currently not being done nearly enough. So turn it into an advantage.
Thank you all so much. Those were really great answers. You know, I think another thing to remind our audience is that you're not alone in a lot of these things, right? You just met all of us here. We've got some great advice. I myself am someone who's gone through a lot with major depressive disorder, and you know, I've had these amazing people to talk with and bounce ideas off of, and we've all really helped each other. So if you need to have a network also of support, find yourself that, and you know, reach out to us too. We're happy to be there. You can join the Alf Museum family one day. Who knows? But we're all one big happy family, and we're here to support each other. So we're going to do one more question, and then we will take a break as we set up for our Skribble game. And we'll also have time maybe to do some more questions as we play Skribble. But here is our last question that I think is a good one to end off from Martin. What's your favorite piece that you've done so far? So let's go through everybody kind of in the same order. We'll start with Jay, and we'll go down from there.
Oh gosh. Oh man, I mean, you can't really choose a favorite. You can just, I think, I think for me, certain landmarks tend to stay in my brain more than like specific pieces. Um, I think like, hang, oh my gosh, I can't really. I guess my favorite recent piece was I did a. I'm not really a big botanist, botanical illustrator, but I did a cattail plate that I was really happy with. And then I did on my information I have like dueling American kestrels. That was a really great piece because that was 14 by about 17 feet. So I think that was like my first time where I looked at like a large piece and I was like, I'm really like I like this.
Philip, how about you?
I'm going to say that it's a pair of pieces that I did for Dr. Daniel Field. Both of them were about paleoornithology and kind of the point in which um, non-avian dinosaurs died off, and then how they evolved back into what they are now. One of them was actually the promo piece that you put up on Instagram. The other was the type illustration for Asteriornis. And both of those were kind of landmark pieces for me. The first one was because it was a technical kind of landmark for me, where I feel like I really landed on my current style of sort of incorporating traditional oil painting and digital media. The second one, and also kind of like what Gabe had said earlier, I feel like I really nailed the visual storytelling aspect of it, and taking something that was the article itself that it was about was this incredibly technical, granular, hard to understand tome, and I turned it into sort of like sexy splash art that got, a lot of publicity. It was probably the first piece that I ever did that really got like mass media attention, was kind of like in Nat Geo and that kind of thing, and really got picked up. And that was really, I think, a testament to the fact that it was just good visual storytelling. People could connect to this little scared bird, and things like that. And the other piece was a landmark because, again, working with Daniel Field, he is he's a scientist who really, like Andy, who really understands the value of an artist and knows how to use us to like really capitalize on that like initial hook that gets people interested in the science. And he knows how to coordinate with you to make that happen, and he knows when to be involved, and more importantly when not to be involved, and let us just do what we need to do and what we've trained for, and kind of trust us to do that job. So that's me.
Nice. How about you, Valeria?
That's like asking an artist what their favorite finger is. It's a really difficult question. I've had two rounds of answers to think about it, and my favorite pieces are ones where I feel like I leveled up. There are definitely some that I can think off the top of my head where I look back and I'm like, oh yeah, that's where I learned this one technique that I now carry on to everything. Oh yeah, that's where I leveled up in skill and felt like my art really kind of started becoming what I wanted it to be for the first time, etc., etc., etc. And then there's the ones where like, oh, this is a very nice painting of my favorite bird that I've done like 3 times.
Awesome. I will say that the Mamoswine one you did for our Pokemon pop-up museum is probably my favorite one, just because that one keeps blowing my mind every time I put it out for an exhibit. Everyone's like, "That's so cool! It's a Mamoswine."
Thanks,
Karen,
Gabe. I love
how
that one
about
too.
you? Thank you, Karen. How about you?
I would have to say it was a fairly simple graphite study I did of a juvenile Tyrannosaurus skull. And it wasn't so much the subject matter or the piece itself, it was everything in conjunction with it. Because I had a moment where I looked up and realized I was in a fossil hall, in a museum, making art of something that I had loved since childhood. And I mean, I'm getting emotional just describing this. I think that was one of the pivotal moments that made me realize that this was something I needed to find out how to do more of consistently, and really drove me forward in this particular field.
Karen, every time you get emotional, I always get emotional too.
I'm
I
getting
felt
emotional
that.
too.
I know. I felt that right there. Rob, Mr. Raptor Rob, what's been your favorite piece so far?
Well, obviously Raptors, but that one I did for the Alf was a lot of fun. But recently, one of the favorite pieces that's actually grown like beyond my control is this a watercolor spot illustration of Dimetrodon that I did, and published that right after I got back from grad school because we'd been given an assignment to do a spot watercolor, and mine did not come out the way I wanted it to. And the first thing I did when I got home was, I'm going to try this again. Gave myself the assignment and recreated it. I just picked a different subject, and people loved it. And there are people I have no idea I hear referencing on other like panels such as this, and they'll talk about it. It's like, oh, that's my piece they're talking about. So it really gained traction like beyond that I know about. So that's tells me that I did something right, and that stuck with me. But kind of like Valeria said, yeah, when you realize you've leveled up in any regard, whether it's like, wow, yeah, Photoshop, I know this program now, or a medium, that sticks with you. But yeah, it is hard to choose.
Awesome. And then to round things out, Hannah, what's been your favorite piece so far?
Yeah. I think that with every new piece, there's a part of me that when I'm making it or when I'm done with it, I'm like, this is my new favorite piece because it's the newest and it's like the one I've been working on. But I would say that one that I keep going back to is kind of like two, essentially, because back when I was making my my Cal State Monterey Bay portfolio, I really put in a lot of energy to make a reconstruction piece. And so I did a Guanlong Tyrannosaurid, basically like facing off against these like early mammals in, like, I researched everything. And so it's basically a reconstruction scene between like an early mammal and a Tyrannosaurid. And so I was pretty proud of it when I made it, but then pretty soon into my grad program, I felt like I had achieved better, like I had leveled up from that point. And so there was a opportunity for one of the assignments to make a gouache painting. And so I said, I was like, I think I'm going to do the exact same painting, but better. And so I actually, at that point, I was in contact with Andy, Dr. Andy Farkey, and he gave me pointers on the correct arm situation of the Guanlong because that was wrong. And so I basically funneled all that I had learned that year so far into my new piece, and it felt really gratifying to have an old piece that I felt really proud about, but then to elaborate on that and make it better. And there's kind of a part of me that's like, I think I want to do it again. You know, like the same exact piece, like same piece, do it every year, gets a little bit better or maybe a little bit worse. So I think that I'm elaborating on that, and I think that's probably my favorite piece so far.
Fantastic. Well, that does it for our panel. Thank you all so much for being here today and joining us for this awesome panel. I will just say that I love all of you. You're all fantastic, and I feel so honored to be sitting amongst all of you. And I'm just so proud of seeing all of you since coming through the Alf Museum, going on and getting to do some really amazing things. And I look forward to seeing what you all do next, and also getting to say that the Alf Museum played a small bit in your amazing careers. And thank you so much to all of our audience. What we're going to do now is we're going to take a quick 10-minute break while we set up our Skribble game. This is a chance for all of you at home to get up, get some water, maybe get some food, and we'll set up here, and we'll see you all in about 10 minutes. All right, hello everybody. We are back. Thank you so much for sticking with us. What we're going to do now is we're going to end our Discovery Day Making Monsters event with something a little fun. Since I managed to somehow get all of our previous science illustration interns in one online space, I thought it might be fun if we do a little Skribblio? I don't even know how to say this properly. We're going to do a
That's
little
what I
fun
call it.
game. Okay, so I'm gonna go stick with Skribblio. We're gonna play a little Skribblio, and we're gonna see how good our science illustrators are at drawing paleontology words in under 30 seconds on our computer. So this should be very, very fun, and I think that I might be able to try to send our winner at the end of 3 rounds a little something special. And for those of you at
Ooh, that's
home,
interesting.
please let us know who you think is which ones have been your favorite, who you think might be the top winner, and we'll see how this goes. All right, so is everybody ready? We're gonna start this round, and here we go. All right, who's first? Hannah, you are first. You get to choose your word.
Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. Yes.
What? Oh, yes.
I love it. It's so cute. I love it.
I almost typed in walrus.
Aw.
Desmostilian.
man.
Is it Desmostilian?
Terrifying. Yes. Good job.
Took me a minute to remember
That
the
was-
actual name for it and not the saber tooth.
Oh, that was so cute. All right, Karen, you're up.
Ears.
Oh, I know. I forgot how to spell this. Oh, no.
Nope.
Oh, no. Yes. Okay. Oh, man, I came in last on that one. Dang it.
Spelling is where I always fail at this.
All right, Raptor Rob, you're up. Oh.
Oh god.
Yes.
Oh, God.
Of course Rob got that one.
No, that wasn't fair.
All right, Philip, you're up.
Very
Batman.
deliberate.
What?
What?
Oh!
Oh.
Quality trackpad drawing here.
I love it.
It was the tail.
I don't know how to spell Pikachu, I guess.
Why does Pikachu look like one of those things from Totoro?
Aw.
Because I'm more familiar with Totoro. What?
What?
Oh.
What?
Longest. Oh.
That's the best yet.
I love it.
Oh. It looks like a plant. I love it.
I love him.
A succulent.
Yes.
He's
I
my
love these
boy.
I love these words, Gabe.
I tried very hard. Jared and Bailey contributed also.
Oh, God.
Oh, I
What's
know
his
this
real
one.
name?
Oh, damn it.
Valeria, how are you drawing so fast?
I learned to draw between taking notes at high school with teachers who would steal my drawings and
Because she's on a
confiscate
tablet.
them. If they
She's
saw
on the
me going.
tablet.
Oh.
Never getting that one.
Yeah. Really cool, though.
Okay. Let's Oh shoot. Okay, I apologize in advance for this one. Oh
Time to
gosh.
shine, babe.
I should not be playing this game.
Okay, this one's hard to spell.
Yeah, this is hard to spell.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's its feet.
One.
That's the best I could do for feet.
What?
Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
How do you spell it?
Oh no!
Oh,
I'm
that was-
sorry. I chose,
That's not how you spell it.
Spelling shouldn't count, especially for that one.
I chose like the most
Yeah, but I
hardest
love the
one.
drawing.
Oh, no. Oh, boy.
What?
Is it me?
Lorax.
What?
God.
What? Who's this guy's name?
What?
What?
Oh!
Oh.
Yes, Bone
Oh.
Wars.
Oh, my God.
Bone Wars.
Stressful.
That was really good. That was really good
That was
considering
good.
how
That
much
was
time
good.
you
I
had.
was
Oh, no.
trying to think of the guy's name.
Yeah, I forget his name, too.
Marsh and Cope.
Yeah. I should know that as a Yale guy.
Yeah, come on.
I failed you.
Okay.
Oh,
Failed you,
apparently.
Peabody.
Also, Jared just told me I had spelled Quetzalcoatlus wrong when I put it in for Skribblio, so that's my fault. I'm so sorry, everybody.
I thought I spelled it right.
I'm so sorry.
I don't know what my cursor is doing.
Oh no!
It's abstract.
Yes.
It's time. It's time. I think it's time. Oh.
Oh.
Oh,
Unfair.
I'm so
Unfair.
sorry.
Ooh.
I love the trackpad clicks.
Manta ray.
This is gonna be so much easier.
Oh. Damn it. Okay.
What?
Yes.
I wrote these words. Oh, X-wing! Oh, no!
Oh,
I'm sorry.
No, it's
Oh,
not.
that's
I-
really
The
good.
hyphen. What? Oh my god.
That's really good.
I'm really good at drawing those, I swear.
Homer.
Yes.
I love it.
I'm back in the game. That's really good.
That's barely.
All right, Jay's up.
Nice.
Background.
Oh,
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 change
oh,
the colors. Wow.
Joe Boatin.
Oh, oh. Yes.
oh. Yeah.
Rip Alderaan.
Oh, was that an X-wing? Nice.
Just try.
Why didn't I think of that?
Oh, oh, oh. Oh, nope, never mind. Yes. Philip, you're writing words. Oh, shout out to the Western Science Center.
Yep.
Aw.
Sorry that the tusks look really bad.
Old banana tusks.
Yeah.
Oh shoot. All right, I'm gonna I'm gonna give this one a shot.
We believe in you, Gabe. Nice.
Gotcha.
So
I love
bad.
this. It's a masterpiece, Gabe. I love it.
This is amazing, Gabe.
So bad.
Oh.
That was really good, Gabe.
It's supposed to be Charmander evolving into
That's
Charizard.
right.
I got that. That was great.
Yeah, it
Love
was.
it.
It was very
Love it.
good.
Oh no.
Over my head.
Okay.
Is this exercise for when you're in school? Do you do these kind of exercises as training paleo artists, science illustrators?
Oh, I love this.
Karen, you almost got it.
You're so close.
Oh.
Go!
You know what? If you look at the top of the screen, it shows how many letters the word is, so that usually will help you. I should have explained that before. I'm sorry.
Oh, I just, yeah.
There.
I wasn't cheating, I swear.
I should
Okay.
Dragon. No. Targaryen.
Not enough time.
Oh.
What?
I saw the little claw. Alright, Raptor Rob, you're up.
Adorable.
No.
Oh!
Nope. What?
Wait, what?
Oh, man.
Oh. Darn
Did
Sorry,
I
guys.
misspell that too? Did I misspell that too? Shoot.
Yeah, you did.
Oh no, I swear I'm a
we're still in
paleontologist.
yellow. Don't mind the yellow. Irrelevant.
Stuck in Pikachu mode.
Guess I need to practice with the trackpad some more.
Is it a tuna?
Oh. How do you spell that?
Oh!
Dang it.
Yeah! Megalodon! The most famous shark in the world.
The Meg.
Have any of you been asked to draw a megalodon before?
I would refuse.
Why? Just a shark.
The world doesn't need more megalodon drawings. Same with T-Rex.
Yeah.
Oh my god, who is this little guy?
Oh no, how sad!
Oh, it's so sad.
It's plural.
Thanks for that tip.
That poor little guy.
I love it though.
I feel really bad for him.
It's trying so
Visual
hard.
storytelling.
Yes! Oh,
Oh,
hell
Valeria's excited.
yes! Yes,
Some Left 4 Dead excitement.
Yes!
Okay, yeah, I did spell Tyrannosaur wrong. I'm very sorry, everybody.
Oh, it's a little snake.
Uh,
No.
Oh!
What's his name? We just talked about him.
Oh.
Panic.
Tiktaalik.
Froze up.
Panic.
Oh no. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna try this. Oh gosh, I already messed up. I'm just gonna not even try anymore. Look,
Is it Roxas?
It's a tree star.
Is it Roxas?
Thanks for that tip.
What?
It's from the Great Valley, guys.
Oh.
It was Littlefoot.
Here I am trying to spell sauropod, and it's just Littlefoot.
I thought, nah.
The leaf should have been a giveaway.
Okay, that was good. That was a good first round. It
That
turns
was
out Valeria.
fun.
Valeria is our winner for round 1. That was really great. I'm very sorry that I misspelled some words. I'm gonna go really quick and make sure I get rid of those. Cause, yeah, I don't want to do that again. How did I misspell Tyrannosaurus? Jeez. What was the other one I misspelled? Oh, Quetzalcoatlus.
Quetzalcoatlus.
So Aerodactyl said Aerodactyl space parenthesis Pokeball, so like it might plug in that whole thing, which would be a bit of a nightmare.
Okay.
Oh,
I'll
we
get
could
rid of
add
those
custom
now.
words.
Yeah, I added all custom words for this game.
I see.
Where did it say Pokeball?
Aerodactyl. Also, I think
Oh,
Calico
okay, I
has
see.
an H after the second C.
Thank you.
I think. I'm
Okay.
Not sure.
Let's try this again, everybody. I fixed my misspellings. All right, let's go. Ready? 1, 2, and 3. Oh, and there's Littlefoot again.
I love Littlefoot. These are all masterpieces. I love them all so much.
I'm really glad I drew the tree star the specific way now, because that could have been really bad.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
I think we've already had this one, but I'll go for it. Someone can go.
Ah. Is that supposed to be Alderaan? No.
Rip.
Die, Alderaan, die!
Did you just press F, Philip? Do you think this should be an assignment for science illustration students to play this in practice?
I think
Not
it should.
It would definitely be a Friday evening game to do with your classmates.
Oh.
Oh wait, what? No.
How do you do it?
Oh yes.
Failed.
Wait.
I spelled it wrong 4 times.
That's how it is in this game sometimes.
Not a good game for the dyslexic.
No, it really isn't actually. It's a good point.
A ghost.
It's
Mochi. No. What?
I know it. I don't know how to spell it though.
Oh no!
Just like
Oh,
it sounds.
Oh, that.
Wait, I messed up on the
No!
charts.
Oh man!
Oh.
Trilobite.
Trilobite.
Delicious.
A delicious trilobite.
No, not yellow. Stop, Pikachu.
In Pikachu mode.
Pikachu. Bone.
You are forever the Pikachu. Darth Vader?
Oh.
Oh man.
Oh.
Oh, I was right.
Darth Vader, Hannah.
Stupid autocorrect.
I was kidding.
Ah,
Sad Vader.
He's sad. Oh no.
I am Darth Vader.
The name is Darth Vader.
Darth Vader.
Darth Vader, yes, I am your father.
Got it.
Oh, I don't know what this thing's name is.
I actually
Hello?
beat someone. I beat somebody on Pokemon. I did it.
All right, Philip wins the
love-
achievement for tonight.
I
already.
love.
Achievement unlocked.
This is so
Beat
cute.
Valeria on a Pokemon. Guess for once ever. It'll never happen again.
Not gonna get it.
Lapras.
That little- Saw that beautiful Lapras snoot.
It is great.
All right.
Valeria, you have like D&D levels of like artistry. Like, what? There's like magic behind yours. Oh, everyone's already doing it. I'm just talking here. Okay. That one was for Bailey.
Yep.
That's for Bailey.
Okay. I'm gonna try this one. Then go like that, and then there's something like that, and then there's that, and then there are fossils in between. It was stratigraphy. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna leave the game now.
No, I knew what you were trying to
No,
do. I couldn't
here.
pick a word for it. I was like guessing geology and stuff.
The green thing just threw me off.
I was trying to do an unconformity.
You're too smart. That's your problem. Darts Vader.
That's cute.
Ah!
Oh.
Oh. Was not expecting that as a
It does look like an iPad.
yeah.
I thought it was research.
Yeah, I almost put illustration.
Mm-hmm.
Ah. Oh,
Um. Thunderbolt.
Oh.
Oh, it's a jackhammer!
Rock drill was I think.
Rock drill. Philip, you've been playing too much.
Too much
what's
deep
that?
rock.
Deep Rock
Oh.
for Rock and Stone.
The rock and stone. Let's see. So bad at this.
What is?
Smudgy finger.
iPad.
What?
Oh.
Darn it.
Oh!
I'm so sorry,
No,
guys.
that it totally makes sense
Got
now.
there too late.
I drew a really good finger by accident.
Sorry. Turn off my mic for a second. Okay, I'm good. I'm good now.
I don't know how to be
Appa.
better. Close.
Oh.
Masterpiece.
Oh.
Love it.
Shoot.
Yeah.
This is great. I wish I remembered how to.
Oh, it's so cute.
Oh. Nope.
Weird shrimp.
Best weird shrimp.
Mmm, so tasty.
Do you really think Anomalocaris would be tasty?
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of definitely like all of those invertebrate creatures would probably be tasty.
You could have like a huge like gathering with just a bunch of like with 2 Anomalocaris probably.
Oh yeah. On the barbecue?
Mm-hmm. Some butter
Ooh.
on there and garlic.
Sounds really good.
Oh.
It's Dino
Dinosaur Joe, the baby.
Oh, how cute! A baby Parasaurolophus at the Alf Museum.
I was hoping. I looked up Parasaurolophus before we started because I figured that was going to be on here. But oh my god!
I love the face.
Oh!
What? Oh!
Damn it! Damn it!
Jar Jar Ball. Oh no, Hannah!
Oh! No!
Oh,
He's a racist. Yep.
Oh gosh.
But I love him though.
Oh god darn it, Jar Jar Bonks.
That was who drew the Jar
Fran.
Jar?
That was hilarious.
it was excellent.
It was very good Jar
Excellent
Jar.
stuff.
I unironically love Jar Jar.
I
They're
don't know
drawing
how else to
Tiktaalik
do
again for a
this.
second.
I don't know what else to do. I don't.
I got nothing.
Oh
Oh!
no!
Oh.
So I'm like rage pounding my keyboard over here.
It makes a lot of sense now.
Is that what the logo looks like, right?
Yeah, no, you nailed
Yeah.
it.
Okay.
It has an S next to it now, but yeah, that was great.
Oh, where'd you go? No.
Oh no.
There we go. Try it again a little bit faster.
What? Oh, yes.
Wait!
Well,
Oh, I was typing.
The North remembers.
Adorable.
Natalie, you are correct. I did that because for Terrell. So yes, that was our little way of honoring her today. Jared was asking, what would trilobites have tasted like? I wonder. Again, I think it would have tasted really good with butter and garlic.
I bet they would taste similar to whatever horseshoe crabs taste like. If
Oh
Mhm.
no.
Oh.
Oh man.
I would have trilobite tacos for sure.
Yeah. You put anything in a taco.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's what they could offer at Jurassic Park, even though it's not Jurassic. If it was real, just be like, "Hey, we brought these creatures back so that you could taste them." That seems like something Jurassic Park would do.
Anomalocaris
Yeah.
with mac and cheese.
Oh yeah,
Anomalocaris with mac and cheese.
Anomalocaris and grits.
Anomalocaris scampi.
Now you're speaking my language.
There we go. I'm into it.
Is it?
Oh, what is that phone?
Oh.
Yeah.
What?
What?
Wait a minute.
That was a humorous, but why is it gastrolith? Rob, did you choose the wrong one on accident? Ah!
Damn it.
I love.
Oh, crud.
Oh, baby.
Oh!
Hey, baby.
Oh, no!
Dinosaur
Ah,
Joe.
it repeated.
It's my magnum opus right there.
Hey, baby. I love this.
Oh god.
He is the baby.
We use that Dinosaur Joe all the time, Philip.
I want to redo him.
I mean, I'm not gonna say no.
Oh, what's his name?
Gary?
It's close enough.
Whoa, what is his name?
Lord Helix.
Lord Helix!
Oh no.
Consult the Helix fossil.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys.
Omanite.
Oh boy. It kept getting cool words, and I got tricky words. Alrighty, this one is gonna be for us elf peeps specifically.
Oh, Rob, I think, are you on mute? Now you're, okay, you're good now. Someone in the chat said you might be on mute. Huh?
Oh!
Oh! Oh, wait.
The real question is, do you still use my animated GIF of him? That's what I want.
Oh yeah, I still use that all the time.
That's my favorite thing I've ever made. Maybe I should have used that as an example.
I want to see it. I didn't
I've ever made.
see it. We
Okay.
should share. We should show each other what we made for the elf. I only saw a little bit of
Okay.
it.
This is, crud monkeys. This is gonna be hard. Okay.
You can do it.
Oh.
Oops.
Oh no. I already lost this.
Got it. Yeah.
Collection room.
Oh.
Okay, I'm a little
Now
proud of
now
my
I see it.
perspective I gave that. Okay.
It's good. It was good.
It was very good.
All right. So I think that does it for our little game. Who was the winner? I didn't see.
Valeria won twice.
Hilarious.
Valeria won twice. All right.
Beast.
Well, congratulations, Valeria. We'll be
Teaches us
sending
not
you
to
a
plug in
little
our
something.
Cintiqs.
Yeah, seriously. Rematch.
Rematch.
Anytime.
Trackpads only.
Trackpads only.
Trackpads only.
Well, everybody, that does it for our Making Monsters event for today. I just want to say thank you oh wow, I didn't realize all my lights are off. Okay, I just want to say thank you so much to everybody for tuning in to Discovery Day Online today. We really, really appreciate all of you coming in, and we hope you all learned something about how art and science work together hand in hand to really create some really cool things, both in the fictional worlds and in our world here. I want to say thank you to all of our guests, especially to our panelists here today, our amazing science illustration interns. And all of their Instagrams and social media sites are linked in the description below if you want to follow them. And I definitely recommend following all of them because they're all amazing people. And that's not me being biased. It's just fact. And yeah, so that does it for everybody today. If you really like this program, we're very, very excited and happy to continue to offer educational programs for free at the Alf Museum. If you want to continue to support programs like these, you can find links on how to do that in the description below. And as always, if you like this channel, please make sure you like and subscribe for more stories from the world of paleontology. Thank you all so much, and we'll see you at the next Discovery Day Online. Bye, everybody.